Females with extra parts.
There we go. All right. Let's get on to topic number 3 here. Why don't we? Jesus Christ.
Some more enthusiastic, Joe. God damn it.
I know. All right, guys. Our next topic is unrest in Israel. We got a video for you guys, and then we're going to rant about this. And here we go. And we got Turkey next. Oh, my God.
We're hearing new information from Israeli police regarding this attempted stabbing near the Damascus Gate entrance of the Old City. Israeli police say they saw a man dressed in military fatigues who was looking very nervous. People here are on edge, so they approached him, and when they did, they say he pulled out a knife and tried to stab them and then ran away towards another group of police. Those police say they heard the screams of the initial police officers that this man tried to stab, and they responded by shooting and killing the man who has yet to be identified. It is the 4th stabbing incident in the Damascus Gate area of the Old City in the past week, and this of course comes on the heels of what was a brutal day yesterday. Multiple attacks leaving 3 Israeli civilians killed, and heightened security measures announced today doesn't seem to be having an effect. So-called lone wolf attacks seem to be continuing. Robin?
Indeed, I think the profile is what causing so much anxiety in Israel is that it's difficult to predict or preempt how these young teenagers, many of them, are going to act. There's a viral nature to this. How is social media perhaps fueling a lot of the current violence we're seeing?
Yeah, what we're seeing is a lot of these attacks are ending up online in various ways. And what some people are saying is that people have been watching these incidents in videos online, and that those videos are serving to incite further violence. It's a real area of concern for Israeli officials. We know that they're convening a security cabinet meeting later today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and a key focus of that security cabinet meeting will be incitement and how to combat it. Certainly social media will be playing a part in that, but it has to be said that both Palestinian and Israeli officials accuse each other of inciting violence. Prime Minister Netanyahu accusing members of the Palestinian Authority, the Islamic movement in Israel, as well as Hamas, for spreading rumors about the holy site known to Muslims as the Noble Sanctuary and known to Jews as the Temple Mount. Palestinian authorities, for their part, have been blaming Israeli officials for inciting violence as a cover for exerting more influence over that holy site.
So there you have it, man.
Yep.
Israel and Palestine, man. Jews or Muslims. I'm like, who's going to grasp the Holy Land? I'm like, they have access to it, but, Islam is a problem in the Middle East that needs to be addressed, and we have people that don't speak out against it. It's a big fucking issue.
Yeah.
You got Hamas. It's just devastating. They shoot rockets over in Israel, and Israel's defending themselves, and you got people. There was an incident last week where a couple guys went in there and went into where they go and stabbed a few people and killed like 3 people. It's like, and they had a gun and they killed.
Yeah, well, they've been having mass stabbings
been going on. Yeah, it's just
in the West
ridiculous. Yeah, and one guy had a car. He ran a car into a telephone post, hurt a couple people, didn't kill him. But then there was a guy on the street that had a gun and shot the guy, and he died, of course. But this is a problem, and we need to speak out against it. And many people don't. Yeah, and it's basically Islam.
Yeah,
Islamism.
It's even a little deeper than that. It is definitely Islam is a big problem in that, but this is the history of the region since it 47 when Israel declared its own state.
Correct.
And this was
and also in 67 when Israel gained.
Well, land then they had the other war because as soon as 6 Day War, yes.
Yeah,
but as soon as the UN made the 2-state solution where Palestine and Israel had to split up the land, day one, Israel was attacked by every neighboring Arab nation and absolutely stomped their ass. And this is just what goes on repeatedly. And the shit that I don't understand is there's one side that is instigating that a hell of a lot more, in my opinion. That's what I'm seeing from that.
It's like who's more violent?
It is the Palestinians attacking the Israelis, attacking citizens, throwing rocks at the IDF, things like that, and wonder why they get fucking destroyed whenever they're doing that, hiding behind children and shit.
Yep.
Doing these things. I mean, it's the fuck Israel rhetoric that we hear from, especially from our side, is like, dude, I understand Israel's a country, like America's a country, and they're not going to do everything perfect. I get that. But it's overwhelmingly one side being the aggressors on this.
Correct. Yeah, I totally agree. TJ, Paul, John.
Who are exactly are they stabbing? Civilians.
Civilians, yeah.
And how is that supposed to accomplish anything? If you're gonna if you have a problem, step up and handle it in a military way. Attack the military.
It's Allah Akbar, dude. It's the Kafirs. They want to.
Well, because they can't do shit to the military. The
To be fair,
military
they
absolutely
do.
destroys them.
Yeah.
They do try to attack troops, but that usually ends up badly for them.
Right, because they don't have a fucking shot of doing it.
Yeah.
So
Or being successful at it.
They do still stab troops, but they usually don't end well for them. I mean, the troop will be stabbed, not usually life-threatening, but the person doing it, compared to just a regular civilian in Israel, yeah.
John.
So,
Go ahead.
You attack a bunch of civilians and you expect there to not be some kind of big pushback. It's one thing to attack the military, but to go after civilians, you're just gonna solidify the opposition against you.
Well,
You're gonna make it more.
See, like right here's a good example. In the chat, somebody says Israel are the original aggressors just by being there. No, fuck that.
No.
Originally, there was a two-state solution, and day one of Israel declaring its own sovereignty as a nation, it was attacked by every neighboring Arab nation.
Yep.
And they still don't recognize Israel as a state. Israel took over that land after the wars and even gave a lot of it back. Controlled, after 67, controlled the Sinai Peninsula, the Golan Heights, Gaza, the West Bank, gave back the Golan Heights, gave back Gaza, gave back the Sinai Peninsula. If they're aggressive expansionists, why are they giving all this land back? It doesn't make any sense. And in Gaza, what happened? The Palestinians get back into Gaza after the Jewish people handed it back to them, and what did they do? Absolutely destroyed everything that the Israelis had left, and it's still a fucking shithole, and they still want to fire rockets over the walls into Israel. And that because they democratically elect Hamas, a terrorist organization, once it says there will be no two-state solution.
Yep.
Fuck the Jews.
I mean, like, seriously, when you look at the Middle East countries, I mean, like, they're anti-Semitic. I mean, like, it is what it is. I'm like, we gotta.
Well, core part of
we gotta
Islam.
admit to the we gotta admit the facts here, man. It really is. I mean, like, I used to hold the opinion last year where, you know what, I want peace, I want this, and Israel's wrong for killing innocent people, and well, guess what? But it's the war on terrorism. It's the war on Islamic State. It's the war on Hamas. It's the war on terror. And
it's an unfortunate side effect. It's the collateral damage of trying to
they use human shields,
take out combatants.
Yeah, because they hide within their community and just use people as human shields and shit like that. It's sad. Don't get me wrong. It's sad. I hate war, but
yeah.
But somebody. I'm sorry. Somebody else said something directly to me in the chat here. West Bank belonging to Palestine. LOL. Do some more research. West Bank sunglass guy. Okay. Yeah. There is no fucking Palestinian state. There was a Palestinian state. They attacked Israel. They lost. Now, there are plans to have a two-state solution, but the majority of Palestinians that are in control, like Hamas, who was democratically elected as their government, says, fuck Israel. There will be no two-state solution. There you go.
Yeah. TJ, you've been quiet. You want to say anything?
Yeah, this is one of those things where there's like just so much history and so much, there's so many different angles to it that I honestly don't have a really strong position like it seems everyone else does.
It's trying to know all the facts.
I feel like I'm not educated about all of the history and even the current situation enough to even really speak about it. So when I'm not, when I feel like I'm out of my element, you're not going to hear a lot from me. I just think it's one of those non-black and white issues that's extremely nuanced, just like most other things. So
yeah,
I just don't feel like I know enough about it to really.
Sure.
I'm not going to like just follow the group and agree with you guys. I'm sure you're right on a lot of things, and I'm sure there are great arguments on the other side, but I'm just haven't been exposed to them enough to actually give a strong opinion.
I'm sorry, man, but if we had Palestinians or people from Hamas, terrorists, come in the United States and start stabbing people at a mall, yeah, dude, that'd be pretty fucked up, And then we see this in the last couple of weeks, and it's been going on for a while, where Palestinians are going to Israel and stabbing fucking people and killing them.
But I also don't think that should be put on a bunch of other people who may have had nothing to do with it, or or justify some kind of military action with a lot of collateral damage. Collateral damage meaning civilian casualties, which would be no better than stabbing a bunch of civilians in the street.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's one thing I definitely say is that stabbing people in the fucking street and shit is not going to solve dick, and it's definitely going to have an adverse effect. And if what you're looking for is to be made to look like complete asshats that are just dangerous douchebags, then you're succeeding in that, and pretty much nothing else.
And this is like the kind of like a growing pains situation with modern warfare. We have, a few lone nutcakes causing a lot of damage in some kind of way, and our immediate reaction as old school nations is we want to attack another nation. We want another geographic location to fuck up. And we can't do that anymore. We just can't, because we can't blame a whole nother group of people for the actions of these few lunatics who decided that they wanted to do some kind of terrorism.
Well, John, the fact of it is, John,
the lunatic,
John,
as best as possible.
The fact is, a small demographic that you claim is not small. I mean, do you understand that it's well over hundreds of millions, millions, hundreds of millions of Muslims that agree with Sharia law. Hundreds of millions.
He's saying the ones who actually carry out the attacks. I understand that,
but there's also three.
Right.
But the ones that carry the attacks is about, conservative estimates, is 3 million. 3 million that demographic is. It's pretty solid.
The ones who agree with Sharia law, they need to be handled in an arena of debate and everything, and the ones who commit to violence need to be dealt with.
Right.
And I'm not saying that just because you announce that you agree with Sharia that you need to be dealt with violently. No.
But these are the ones that would agree with the torture that they do, the immoral atrocities of stoning women because of adultery, and killing the gays, and silencing people that are secularist.
And look how many American Christians are condoning torture like waterboarding.
Okay, how many Christian terrorists are there? Are there 3 million? Are there 3 million Jewish terrorists out there?
The ones that
do the terrorism acts.
It's the same argument you're making, though, Joe. There's Christian Americans who call themselves Christians who are totally supportive of like waterboarding and shit, right? And
what's that demographic, TJ? How many people? Is it 3 million? Is it 3 million that actually commit the atrocities?
No. I'm saying the people who we're
comparing apples and oranges here. Just letting you know.
I'm Jesus Christ.
Go ahead.
Can I now?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
The difference is that there's still a much smaller number than the overall that is actually doing it. There's a overall number, and then from that there's a large percentage that agrees with the small percent that does the shit. That's the case for a lot of different, things. And obviously, I'm not defending fucking extremist Islam and terrorism or anything like that. I'm just saying that that argument goes further than just Islam and their extremism and shit like that. That argument can be used for all kinds of shit. They can use it themselves against America and how we go calling ourselves a Christian nation, so they feel justified calling it a holy war. I mean, we shoot ourselves in the foot a lot of the time.
I understand that, TJ, but the difference is between terrorism. These people that are committing these atrocities, people that are going to Israel and stabbing people in the name of Islam. This is a fact. It's the Holy Land. This is what they're doing. This is nothing new. It's been going on for centuries. I'm like, this is the issue. You're talking about a conservative estimate of 300 million, or 3 million, I'm sorry, 3 million of known terrorists out there that commit these atrocities compared to what Christian demographic or what Jewish demographic out there that commit the same atrocities. It's not.
Why are you bringing up that demographic? We were talking about the 3 million that committed. We're talking about the larger demographic that agree with Sharia. And we're saying about the 3 million that do commit it.
It's about 300 million.
We should go after the 3 million that do commit the acts. We should be taking violence to them. And for the larger group that agrees that Sharia should be implemented, we should be debating them or stopping them, not with violent means.
I totally agree
first.
with that. I totally agree with that. That's why I always said.
Why are you sidetracking into Christian shit?
Well, this is what I said, that there needs to be a reformation within the Islamic faith. There needs to be a reformation, because these are the people that still adhere to the atrocities that are in their holy book. Christianity doesn't do that. Judaism doesn't do that. So the people that believe in Islamic law, say Sharia law, these are the people, we need to reach out to. And there needs to be a reformation in their faith. I mean, like, this is...
Yeah, and in Joe's defense there, Paul, it was me that kind of sidetracked it to the Christianity thing, but that was... It was to make a point about the argument and how it could be used on different sides by what would be considered opposing sides. Anyway, sorry.
No, it's okay. You're good. And that's why I like to have. It's why I like to have these talks, because we're going to agree to some points. We're not going to agree, and this is what makes a show. So, Drew, you got anything else to say?
We're gonna solve this whole Israel Palestine thing on the show.
We're going to solve it,
man.
We're going to have the solution right here.
Before we wrap up,
make sure Netanyahu's watching.
and Putin. Putin
and people are going to be like, find the Christian terrorists or whatever, but wouldn't if you're in a different listen, if you're in a different country, if you're in a Muslim country and you're catching news from them that the Christian Americans are waterboarding Muslims, and guess what, a bunch of them we just released, like we kept them in Guantanamo, and then we're like, oops. So, I mean, obviously not all of the people that we detained were even fucking terrorists. And so when the news gets back that we're doing this to people who might be fucking innocent and shit, obviously it looks terrible. And they could easily say, look at those fucking terrorists on their end. What we consider terrorism over here isn't necessarily what maybe a drone strike on their fucking, in their neighborhood or whatever, they would consider terrorism.
Well, that's combatant terrorism.
No, I'm saying that obviously drone strikes are not 100%.
I mean, like, you sound like Steve Shives now. Steve Shives make the claim like, oh, if we go over to over to Middle East countries and they, you ask them who are the terrorists, they would claim the United States. That's just bullshit.
Yes, it's common fucking sense.
No,
it's
not.
The culture you're in. It's the culture you're in.
Oh, okay. Now I know what you're saying. Okay,
what happens to you directly. And fuck you for saying I sound like Steve Shives. That's like that hurt.
Well, I know it hurt.
Well, he was saying the argument you were using was
the argument you were using. Yeah.
The argument is that the culture you're in and the news that you get and what you experience from the outsiders or whatever, you're gonna have a different view on who the terrorists are. And while they should also understand that anyone on their side that does that is a terrorist, we should be able to understand that some acts that we do to other countries and to other people and shit can be considered to them like a form of terrorism.
Yeah,
it's just simply putting yourself in someone else's shoes.
I'm sorry. You go over to you go into Middle East countries and you ask them who are the terrorists. I'm telling you right now, my opinion is they're not going to say United States. They're going to say Islamist. That's what they're going to say, because that's factual. We can see 90+% of terrorist acts, 27,000 since 9/11. You're going to tell me that they're going to say United States? No, they're going to say, yeah, fucking ISIL or fucking ISIS or Hamas or Boko Haram.
Because you also have to keep in mind that the majority of deaths from Islamic terrorism are other Muslims.
Correct.
And that's why that's what he's saying is that is happening where they live.
Yeah.
Exactly. ISIS is killing people in Iraq and Syria.
Other Muslims.
You see what I mean? So the people in Iraq and Syria that are trying to get the fuck away from that are going to say, yeah, the biggest cause of terrorism are these fuckers that are blowing up my own country that share my religion.
Exactly.
Totally agree.
Exactly.
I maybe I'm doing a poor job of making my point.
You're doing a good job.
I'm not disagreeing with you guys. I'm just trying to point out.
I know.
Cultural, like how you're going to view things. Things can
culturally, yeah.
Even within the United States, that shit can be viewed differently. Whether you're in the Bible Belt or the freaking up in New York and shit. Like even within the country, views on that shit change drastically. I'd say.
Watch saying New York, man. Tommy from the Bronx might get upset at you, man. But watch that shit, man.
Bronx guy, forget about it.
Forget about it. Paul John.
I generally think that declaring war on concepts is an extremely bad idea and a sure way to lose said war. The war on terror, the war on drugs, shit like that. I just think that's a really bad idea.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, I think it's the time to move on.
Yeah, it's time to move on. All right, guys, let's get to which is another one. Jeez, we're gonna get into
let's move on to turkey. Great, I love turkey. Mashed potatoes and gravy. No, we're actually talking politics.
You know what somebody said to me, like in the beginning of the show? They were saying, like, "Oh my God, it's gonna be the turkey and rape culture. We're gonna rape turkeys." I'm like, okay, good one. I like that.
I was hoping since Thanksgiving's coming up, this would not be that kind of turkey.
Exactly.
Rape turkeys.
All right, we're gonna have to deal with this again, turkey, and then we got the next last two topics after the Cutie Report.